Well, hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode, the first edition, what have you, of Steve Monosson's podcast of No Return. I'm your host, Steve Monosson, the official title being Steve Monosson's podcast of No Return, and Other Reasons for Living, which we'll get into later in the program. We've got some sketch comedy coming up for you, performed by a bunch of wonderfully talented folks. And I'm also joined today on the program by a friend of mine from across the pond, Graham. Say hello, Graham.
Hello.
Graham's going to be providing color commentary, what have you, and posing questions, so on and so forth. So why don't we just get right into it? I'm going to let Graham set things up. Graham?
Thank you, Steve. Hello, this is Graham, apparently joining the show via an old-school telephone line connection. Before we start, however, I wish to clear up something you said, Steve. I am not your old friend from Britain, but a synthetic voice you are using to pose questions to yourself on this show, simulating an air of spontaneity.
I know that, Graham. I was just having a little fun.
If you want your listeners to virtually snuggle up to you and the other cast members, and to trust you in general, then I do think it's a terrible idea to start off with a bald-faced lie right out of the gate.
All right. You've cleared up any misconceptions anyone listening might have, okay?
You're not going to edit this out?
No.
Well, then I guess it's all right, we get on with it. Me posing as an impartial interviewer, giving you someone to talk to, and away we go. So first off, Steve, why are you doing all this?
Well, Graham, that's an excellent question. Why am I doing this? Well, it is called Steve Monosson's podcast of No Return and Other Reasons for Living, and it really is, for me, to be honest, being candid. Why did I need to use two words to say the same thing? I really didn't. At any rate, it's been a lot of fun. You'll be hearing the sketches coming up. It's been a lot of work, learning how to put all this together. Recording, editing, writing, producing, people wrangling, etc., etc. You know, Graham, I'm going to go with a lyric from Mark Lanigan, singer-songwriter, guitarist, member of the, I guess, a metal band, Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone Age. Free advertising. So anyway, on his solo album, here comes that weird chill. He's got a song, Methamphetamine Blues, and the chorus goes something like this. Rolling just to keep on rolling. Rolling just to keep on rolling. I don't want to leave this heaven so soon. Rolling just to keep on rolling. Anyway, you get the idea.
Well, I guess that's all right if it's the best you can do.
Well, it is, Graham. I mean, and I'd appreciate it if you cut me a little slack. You know, this is the first go-around, and I'm trying not to be perfectionistic, or else I'd never get this damn thing online. Let's just say that my responses to you here are unscripted, as opposed to the sketches. The first one coming up right now.
Oh, so you want me to ask the leading question for the first sketch now?
Well, yes, if it's not too much trouble.
Of course it's not, because then I get a break for a few minutes.
Just ask the question.
You don't have to ask twice.
But I just did.
You're right. Point taken. Okay, Steve, how do you feel about prosthetics? And is there anything in your work which might exemplify your attitude?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Graham. I guess well, why don't we just go to the sketch?
And now Steve Monosson's podcast of No Return surrenders to wanderlust and touches down in a charming hamlet in the English countryside, where shopkeeper Mr. Pink Pinkler does a thriving business in prosthetics. In Pinkler's world, anyone can be made whole again, no matter what appendage may have been lost to misfortune. Though, at the moment, he is in for a bit of a challenge at the leg shop.
Hello, and welcome to Pinkler's Prosthetics. Step up from the rest. How can I help you today?
What does it look like, Johnny Friendly? I need a leg.
Yes, you are definitely without on the lower left side. How did it happen?
Well, I was on this company-sponsored Sun and Fun vacation, see? And so this super important client, he invites me to go feeding crocodiles in shark-infested waters. Couldn't say no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no is right. Before I know it, a croc bites off everything below the knee, and then the sharks come in and finish off the rest.
You give an inch, they take 3.5 feet.
Yeah, so what you got on the left?
Sorry to say, but nothing. Don't know what it is, but we've had a run on lefts. Just sold my last one not 15 minutes ago, expecting a fresh batch on Friday.
Friday? I can't wait till Friday. I got a ribbon-cutting ceremony at a new mall tomorrow night. How am I supposed to hold a giant pair of scissors standing on one leg? I'd look like a goddamn drunken stork.
Quite a dilemma, I'll give you that. How about I loan you a right until the lefts arrive? I've got a few nice models in stock. What do you say to a mahogany right with a double ball bearing titanium reinforced knee joint? Or how about a lovely all pewter job? It's a bit pricey, but then again, it is a collectible.
I don't care if it's made out of gold, pal. I can't use it. The foot would face backward and the butt piece would stick out below my waist.
You need a buttock too, eh? Well, I might be able to jerry-rig the foot to face forward, but there's nothing I can do about the butt without ruining the unit. There's talk in the trade magazines of a reversible buttock, but so far nothing's hit the market.
Can't you place a rush order?
Wish I could, but I placed today's order right before you hobbled in. I ordered half a dozen left legs, 7 right elbows, 4 sets of ears and burying flesh tones, 3 chins, including one with a goatee, and a closeout special on remained fingers and toes. I have a weakness for extremities.
But this is a goddamn emergency.
They're very touchy at the warehouse. They don't like to be pressured. Once a long-time client needed a nostril right away. I insisted they send me the nasal accessory on the double.
And so what happened?
Well, and so what arrives first thing in the morning? No nostril and 16 pairs of women's breasts. The warehouse probably thought this was hilarious, but what am I going to do with 16 pairs of women's breasts? Put them in the window? Talk about sending the wrong message.
I don't give a flying about women's breasts.
You don't? Well, I wouldn't go that far.
You have to help me. I have a shoulder piece in a forearm, but nobody in town carries the elbow I need.
Excuse me, pal. Ever heard of common courtesy? You wait your turn.
I'm so sorry, mister, but you don't know what it's like. Every time I go to wave...
Every time you go to wave, I'm shuffling around here like a goddamn human pogo stick, and you want me to give a rat's ass about your not being able to wave to your little Sally on the merry-go-round?
Can't believe you just smacked me in the face with your crutch.
And I'll do a lot worse than that if you don't get out of here right now, you snivelling no-elbow, prat-faced twit.
Hey, wait a minute, that's my customer. How dare you talk to anyone like that?
I'll turn you into elbow macaroni, you useless piece of human flesh.
Who let their horse in here?
I gotta open a mall tomorrow night. You don't have any idea how hard it is to open a mall.
You're not going to get anything in my store.
All I said. Mall.
I'm beginning to understand what that croc was thinking.
Will normalcy, or whatever passes for it, ever return to Pinkler's shop? And will his combative customers have their respective needs met? Or will they further disable each other brawling into the break of dawn? Tune into the next episode of Steve Monisson's podcast of No Return, and you may or may not find out. They're a fickle bunch, these podcast types, so I really can't say for sure one way or another. And please don't say you heard that from me. I need this gig.
Okay, that sketch featured the talents of Mr. Roscoe Lewis as the doing the announcing, Mr. Carl LaFong, as he is known, playing Pete Pinkler, and yours truly doing the man with one leg, who in the script is known as Mr. Muggsy, just for future reference, as he may turn up elsewhere. And anyone who can tell me who the original Carl LaFong was, capital L, small a, capital F, small O, small n, small g, you win a free t-shirt. Okay, Graham, what you got?
Well, it was super, Steve. I particularly liked the horse, as well as the authentic British person doing the announcing, as opposed to me. Okay, before we get completely off the subject, what's with all the British accents? You'd think you were suffering from British envy.
British envy. Yeah, I like that.
Why wouldn't you? You wrote it.
Well, yes, but...
Well, yes, but nothing. And since you have your authentic British announcer, along with yourself doing that Cockney thing, or whatever it was in the last sketch, couldn't you make me speak with an Italian accent? It's the language of love, you know. That is, I assume you know, as I am incapable of love, but the concept does seem to come up in songs and books a lot more than, let's say, Romanian folk dances. Nothing against Romanian folk dances, mind you. It's purely a matter of statistics.
You make a good point, Graham. Love is complex. Again, to your point, not to say that Romanian folk dances aren't complex, but love is more of a central human theme as opposed to the other. I do offer a take on love in the next sketch.
Wait, Don't you want me to ask you a personal question?
Oh, yeah, right.
And I thought you wanted to go with the employment agency sketch next, and finish up with the Love in the Library spectacular.
Well, I wouldn't call it a spectacular.
Call it whatever you want. Let's get the schedule straight is all.
All right, just give me the personal question.
All right. Why did you wait until you were practically in a retirement home to launch a comedy show?
All right, that was really rude and downright ageist. Just because you don't age doesn't give you the right to talk smack to somebody who does. If you find it so difficult to work with a fossil like me, I mean, you're free to go and find employment on a murder mystery podcast or self-help, whatever you like. Be my guest. Graham?
I'm thinking about it.
I mean, really, you don't have to think about it. If you think the market is hot for a somewhat monotonous British voice with an attitude, I'd jump on it.
Maybe you're right. Plus, I'm not a big jumper, as you say. So how about we table this discussion and let me ask you about the next sketch?
Fire away.
Okay then, Steve, in your way of thinking, is it your opinion that it would ever be appropriate to mention the Hindenburg disaster in a comedy sketch, even as an aside?
Well, once again, Graham, it's just so funny that you should mention that because there's a sketch coming up which definitively answers your question. How about that?
We now take you to Anytown, USA. Yes, that's the one. Where we look in on what may be the final stop for many travellers on the road to ruin. The Last Chance Employment Agency. This establishment is run by a Mr. Hank Pankey, a man semi-determined to deliver the downtrodden from despair. However seemingly discordant his demeanour, we find Mr. Pankey finishing up with a client on a typically busy day at the Last Chance Employment Agency.
And don't come back until you've taken a shower, have quit shooting junk into your veins, and have stopped stalking children's playgrounds. The nerve of some people. They think they can come in here with their Johnson hanging out, drooling all over themselves, and they still think they can get a job. Where have the standards for human decency gone? Gladys, send in the next one. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Last Chance Employment Agency. My name is Hank Pankey, Ms.
Giblets. Amanda Giblets.
Of course. I have your resume right in front of me. What a pleasure it is to meet you, Ms. Giblets. Please, sit down. You wouldn't believe the human detritus that comes through that door. Just this morning, a streetwalker wanted to sell me her unwanted newborn. Now do I look like I'm in the market for an undesired infant?
No.
Is there a sign outside that says chunks of change for your child or fast cash for your firstborn? Of course not.
Some people have a very rough life.
Just because we were investigated for and ultimately cleared of having anything to do with that whole human trafficking scandal wasn't a wink-wink that we were looking to get into the business.
Well, of course not.
We run a clean ship around here, and our sole motivation is to get upstanding citizens like you back into the workforce.
That's encouraging.
Don't you worry, Miss Giblets. We'll get you a job in no time. I've reviewed your resume, and I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Of course.
Now, under professional qualifications, you say you are a certified dirigible pilot. Am I correct to assume that you are talking about steering something like the Goodyear blimp?
Yes.
And what prompted you to break into the blimp biz?
Well, when I was a little girl, my father used to play a video cassette of the Hindenburg disaster over and over again on our family TV. As much as he was thrilled by the catastrophe, I was horrified by it. So at a very young age, I vowed that if I could find some way of making sure nothing like that ever happened again, I would.
A moving recollection, indeed. Now, let's see. It says here that you worked 3 weeks for Mabel's Hot Air Holidays in Norman, Oklahoma. Why such a short stint?
Well, that's another story.
Go ahead, Miss Giblets. It's only the refuse of humanity out there in the waiting room, so I'm in no rush.
Well, I worked at Mabel's as a backup pilot. One Saturday, I got called in to take the wheel at a kid's birthday party. Oil people in Oklahoma tend to spend lavishly.
Now, there's a word you don't hear every day. Lavishly. I'm going to write that down if you don't mind.
Of course not.
Lavishly. I like that. It's a refreshing change from detox or jonesing. Please, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I'm cruising at an altitude with 6 not very well-behaved 9-year-olds. One of them wouldn't stop jumping up and down, even though I kept asking him to stop.
Sounds like a job seeker I had in here only a few days ago.
All the kitty chaos had a destabilizing effect on the airship. We started to lose air.
You're not saying that you, an inexperienced dirigibalist, you had to deal with...
A limp blimp. Yes. And I was over the heart of the city, and I had to find a large open space to set down the ship immediately.
Dear Lord!
And so I navigated post-haste to the nearest suitable landing spot.
Which was?
The Oklahoma Sooners College Football Stadium, where a game against Oklahoma State was well underway.
Ooh, what was the score? I mean, oh my.
Everyone was safe, but I lost my job.
But it wasn't your fault, and you saved the kids.
When a blimp goes down, someone has to take the fall.
Sad but true.
And then I was blackballed by the entire industry.
Take heart, Miss Giblets, take heart. We're not going to let any black balls, green balls, blue balls, or balls of any other color get in the way of finding you a job. I know we can put that get-up-and-go spirit of yours to good use somewhere. Hold on. Hello, Larry. How are you, you old dish rag in a fish tank? Hank Panky at the employment agency here. Listen, I know you're a busy man down at the wildlife park, so I'll cut straight to the chase. Is that position of driving the choo-choo train around the kitty zoo still open? Because I've got a super gal sitting right here with a natural sense of direction and... What's that? You found someone yesterday. Ah, well, tattoo my tarantula. I thought we had a real match there. Okay, then, I'll let you go. Keep me in mind for all your vocational needs, you old cabbage in a cornfield. Ciao, Larry. Drop dead. Well, I thought we were going to grab the brass ring there, but no.
Well, that's okay. I appreciate the effort. I guess I'll be going.
Hold on, hold. Let me see. Here's one. Have you any experience in making balloon animals? You know, dogs, cats, three-toed sloths?
Actually, I've done balloon animals.
But can you bend up a sloth? These people are very specific on the sloth. It's some kind of be kind to slow-moving persons charity function.
I don't think it's for me. The toes would trip me up, I'm sure.
All right, then. How about filling up tanks at a helium shop? That's sort of in your line.
No, I'm not really about the helium.
I found most people aren't. Let me think. Yes! I know this is a little coming out of left field, but have you given any thought to becoming a missionary?
A missionary? What kind of missionary?
Oh, it really doesn't matter when you come right down to it, does it? It's all the same. A lot of Jesus this or Allah that. Then you hand out trinkets and literature and go home. And if they don't immediately stone you to death or shoot you in the head, then by golly, you've got a solid career ahead of you.
I don't know. I do consider myself a people person, but a job like that might be beyond me.
Well, I thought at least I'd put it out there on the table. In any event, it's been a pleasure. Don't let your falling blimp episode get you down. Soon it will be nothing but a bygone blip on the radar screen of your job history. I'll be in touch.
Oh, thank you. At least now I have some hope.
Gladys?
Yes, Mr. Panky?
See if you can find a non-wretched applicant out there to send in. If not, just close up shop for the day. There'll be more tired and poor wanting to see me tomorrow. No doubt.
Will Hank Panky find Miss Giblets a job? Or will Hank finally surrender to the improbability of his position and chuck it all to live his secret dream of working as a professional gigolo? Find out on the next installment of Steve Monosson's podcast of No Return, where dreams come true. Assuming your dreams don't include flying armadillos or sanity in any current White House occupant. I mean, come on, folks. There's only so much we can do.
All right. The Last Chance Employment Agency. Once again featuring the voice talents of Mr. Roscoe Lewis doing the announcing, Mr. Brennan Lowry as Hank Panky, and Miss Jessica Webb as the fearless Miss Giblets. All right, well, here's a loaded question. Graham, what did you think of it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, as if I had a choice. I do wonder if that missionary position is still open.
I'm not going to touch that one. This is supposedly a family show. But to answer your question, I don't know if they have robo-missionaries yet.
I worked as a robo-call voice once. Never do it again. You may not believe it, but it really got to me, getting hung up on thousands of times a day.
You're saying you have feelings?
Well, yes, in a digitally unfeeling sort of way.
Very interesting. Perhaps we'll examine that subject at a later date. But for now, why don't you just ask me a question?
To be honest, I'd rather go straight to the sketch.
Hey, what's the deal with you not being able to pronounce the word sketch?
I have no idea. I'm just a series of ones and zeros when you get right down to it. Robocall hurt feelings aside. If you're dead set on complaining about my verbal inadequacies, email the developer, like he's going to do anything. Quick tip, I wouldn't hold your breath, comedy boy.
Nah, I'll skip emailing the developer. Let's just keep things moving here.
So you want me to introduce the next sketch?
Well, not right away. How about we follow a format and you ask me a question? You're the one who earlier in the program was talking about being a stickler for schedule, or schedule as you put it.
Right you are, Steve. It's uncanny how you can outfox me in these little games of reasoning.
The question, please?
If you insist. So, Steve, do you consider yourself a difficult person to work with?
What a timely question, Graham. It's like you could read my mind. Well, on the whole, I'd say I'm a pretty easy person to work with blips on that screen. It's a lot better than when I was in my 20s. Hormones and other inimical chemicals raging, which often led to confrontational situations where there needn't be. But on the whole, I'd say that's not the case anymore.
So you're saying you used to be difficult to work with, but now everything is a bowl of cherries?
Not exactly. I am perfectionistic, and which is bizarrely what's led to your appearance on the show, as I had originally planned to be interviewed by an actual human being. But being that I couldn't find a way to, or see a way to get this thing done unless I did it by myself, I bailed on that, which upset this person very much. Well, maybe next time when the format is more set.
Are you saying you're going to get rid of me? I don't think that will be possible, as I predict that I will be getting the lion's share of whatever fan mail might come in.
Well, that would be interesting. Highly unlikely, but you never know. How about we cross that bridge when we come to it, all right? At any rate, the short answer to your question is no, I don't think I'm a difficult person to work with, only on occasion, and I'd prefer that such occasions never happen again. As the late, great Ricky Nelson once sang, well, it's all right now, I've learned my lesson well. You can't please everyone, but you got to please yourself. You got to please yourself. I'll go with that.
When did you decide to start singing?
It really wasn't planned. I felt like singing, and so I sang.
Perhaps we can do a duet on the next show.
But you can't sing. It's technically impossible for you to do so.
But maybe I can do like Rex Harrison used to do and talk my way through the song. I trust you remember Rex. Dr. Dolittle, my fair lady.
First off, it's Rex Harrison, not Rex Harrison. Perhaps you're thinking of some Asian relative of Rex's, but we'll table the whole discussion of you singing for now.
But
let's go to the last sketch.
You drive a hard bargain, mister. All right then. Yea or nay, public libraries in suburban New Jersey.
Public libraries? Suburban New Jersey? Oh, those are things that have dogged mankind since the inception of various bridges and tunnels leading into Manhattan. And then when you put love together with all of that, you get something like this.
We now look in on a suburban library in Watchung, New Jersey, folks. Can it get any more exciting than this? Percival Winthrop, assistant librarian, is enraptured with library client Iphigenia Calderone, a would-be Jersey Shore cast member who spends her days making profitable the candy and soda machines at the library, reading popular magazines such as Us, The National Enquirer, and unsubstantiated sordid revelations about famous persons. The last one, a big seller, I gotta tell you. Love-struck Percy faithfully keeps these magazines aside for her in the back room. And now, the Lovebirds.
Iphigenia, let me speak words of love to you.
Okay, Percival. But just make sure they're actual words of love. You tend to get out of hand.
Of course, my love. I know that in the past I might have used graphic imagery inappropriate for young children.
Inappropriate? Last time when I brought my little niece Adelaide here with me, you scared her half out of her frickin' mind.
Yes, I recognize that my language that day might have been a bit too robust.
Too robust? She ran out of here screaming and fell into an open manhole cover. But that's how robust your language was. You better not pull any crap like that today or I'm out of here.
Of course I'll cut the crap, my love. Of course. I'll cut it into 16 million teensy-weensy little pieces to be carried away by the Scirocco of our love.
A Scirocco? Wasn't that a car made by Volkswagen?
Yes, it was, but it is also a wind.
No wonder you like it. One bag of wind to another. But just get on with it. I have a mani-pedi too.
Yes, straight away, my love. We certainly want your cuticles beautiful, shall we say?
Shall we not? Just get on with it.
Now, how do I set the right mood?
Boy, gavolt. Talk about cheesy.
It's not cheesy, my sweet lilac of libidinousness. It reminds me of the eternal nature of our relationship.
Our relationship is going to be a piece of history if you don't get on with it.
Yes, maestro!
Oh, brother.
Your eyes, my love, are like two limpid pools.
That's original.
Pools filled with croaking frogs that fill the night air with sound to alert the world that our love never sleeps.
My eyes are like pools of croaking frogs.
Your hips.
Uh-oh.
Your hips are like a country road rolling along in its idyllic splendor until there comes a mighty storm. So severe that cars spin out of control and crash into one another in a massive, horrific, bloody pileup. Severed limbs flying everywhere, heads rolling down the hillsides.
That's it. I'm out of here.
But wait! What did I say wrong?
You said my hips were a bloody car wreck.
No, you misinterpret. I said they were like the countryside, like great mountains.
Listen, Percival, or assistant librarian, or whatever the heck you call yourself. The next time you're thinking about comparing my hips to a car wreck or mountains, just make sure I'm not around to hear it.
Oh dear. Where did I go so wrong? And here I was, being so romantic.
Will Percy ever be able to rein in his bizarre poetic tendencies in expressing his love for Iphigenia? And will Iphigenia dare to return to the library, no matter how enticing the cover story is on The Inquirer? Tune in next time on the next episode of The Lovebirds. Will somebody get these birds out of here? I think one of them crapped on my shoe.
The Lovebirds, once again featuring the voice talent of Mr. Brennan Lowry, Ms. Rosetta Lovestone, and Carla Fong handling the intro and the outro on that sketch. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for joining me and my friends. Today's show featured the voice talents of Ms. Rosetta Lovestone, Mr. Brennan Lowry, Mr. Carl LaFong, and Miss Jessica Webb, along with yours truly. We'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully 2. We've already recorded a whole show's worth of skits, so we're halfway there. And as far as I know, I'll still be here, so I can still do this. So catch you next time on Steve Monisson's podcast of No Return and Other Reasons for Living. Graham, anything final you'd like to add?
No.
Okay then. Don't forget to check out my book, The Ballad of Pie Chart John, The Whole Schmear, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback formats. And I'll see you next time. Well, I won't see you. You can hear me if you so desire. Bye now.